Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us in the world. Thank you for your time and joining us over your lunch hour or your coffee break or your breakfast. My name is Brian Anthony. I'm the faculty lead for the MechE Alliance. Teresa Worth is our co-host today. And as our great pleasure today, as we continue with the MechE Alliance seminar series to engage with our faculty, with our students, and with our corporate and industry partners. In this interesting time to stay intellectually engaged and to create and foster the opportunities that still exist, both existing past ones and new ones that are arising because of the unique circumstances that we find ourselves living in. Today we're joined by several colleagues from Danfoss, and I will introduce Dr. Mark Shu. He's the Innovation Director at the Danfoss Innovation Accelerator in Cambridge. Has a number of years of experience in big corporations, small corporations, and a diverse set of industries. We'll foster and lead the discussion today, and as we go, he'll be calling on his colleagues. Mark, I want to thank you for joining us today and taking the time to share the exciting opportunities at Danfoss, and in particular, some of the things that you're making available for our young people over the coming months. So Mark, please take it away.
Okay, thanks, Brian.
And maybe I can actually just interrupt to just add, please, as Mark is switching to his screens, we will take your questions and answers through the Q&A function on the chat, and we'll be able to take those at the end.
All right, great. Thank you, Brian. So I am Mark Shu. I'm the Innovation Director at the Danfoss Innovation Accelerator. And I want to thank the MechE Alliance for the opportunity to present to you today. We're really grateful for their partnership in announcing Danfoss's summer programs to you. So I live in Boston, and like many of you, I'm practicing social distancing. I'm calling in remotely today from home. My background is in clean energy technology and corporate entrepreneurship, which is why I was a good fit for Danfoss. I joined Danfoss in 2018 to start up the Innovation Accelerator in Kendall Square in Cambridge. The mission was to discover and develop external sources of technology, and the opportunity to work with universities has been an important part of this journey. So outside of Denmark, Danfoss is not a household name. So let's start our time here with a quiz. So please open your browser and go to menti.com. and enter the code 94687. Let's see what kind of results come in. Okay, interesting distribution. So I'm wondering whether these people that know Danfoss well are the Danfoss employees that are on the phone today. So yeah, it's a great to have you join us today, and I'm glad that there are some with of you who have heard of Danfoss or researched our website. To get everybody up to speed, we'll go through a few facts about Danfoss, and then I'll tell you what we can offer as far as our summer learning opportunities. So Danfoss is a 87-year-old privately held industrial manufacturer. We were founded in Denmark, and today we have close to 28,000 employees at 72 sites around the world. We have customers in over 100 countries in the world, and last year our revenue was about $7 billion US dollars. So we do business in Western Europe, North America, and Asia Pacific, and we have a presence in emerging markets around the world as well. So we're big enough to move the needle in the markets where we compete, but we're still small enough to maintain a sense of community with colleagues from all around the world. Danfoss is split up into 4 business segments. All are related to efficient energy conversion. So power solutions is a high power mechanical motion business. So here we have products that are in hydraulics, electric drivetrains, and controls and sensors needed to create integrated solutions for off-highway vehicles and machinery. In our cooling systems segment, we produce components for refrigeration and air conditioning. Similarly, in our heating segment, we produce components for heating applications. Both the heating and cooling segments have a huge range of applications, from residential to hospitals, shopping malls, grocery stores, and then some of the bigger applications like factories, stadiums, and district energy projects. And then our drives business is a power electronics operation. And here we make things like inverters and components for photovoltaic solar power plants, frequency converters for wind turbines, and drives for electric vehicles. And even as a small company, because we have great people, technology, and products, we've risen to the top of each industry segment that we compete in. So as I mentioned, Danfoss was founded 9 decades ago. It was founded in a small town in Denmark, and it's grown into a $7 billion global corporation. So how does something like this happen? So here's a picture of our founder, Mads Clausen. He grew up in the small farming village in southern Denmark, where our company headquarters is still located today. As a budding inventor, he was idealistic and naive about the world, but he had vision and ambition, and he set out to change the world for the better. He did something that many of us dream about doing, that is, out of one central ideal, he grew a solo enterprise into a world leader. And in the process, he set a new standard for sustainability and innovation. So what is that central ideal? So his founding ideals are the same as the ones that we have today, and that is to find better solutions for the future enabled by technology advancement, and then also to deliver those solutions with the utmost attention to quality, reliability, and innovation. By doing this, Danfoss has earned a loyal customer base through 9 decades of doing business around the world. So Mads Clausen, he was a visionary, he was ahead of his time, but we still apply his vision to create the most competitive organization to bring better solutions to the world. So one way we're doing this is to continue to build our organization for better performance. As a male-dominated engineering and manufacturing firm, we're looking to increase diversity through women in leadership. So our target is 30% female leaders by 2025. So we believe that diversity and inclusion fosters creativity, innovation, broader perspectives, and ultimately better decision-making and higher performance for our business. And we want to break down barriers and presumptions about leadership roles to realize more of the potential of our people in our company. And Danfoss has had a history of progressive thinking like this, and through history has sought solutions for the world's most challenging problems. And today, Danfoss has never been more relevant. We're working to provide solutions to some of the greatest sustainability challenges of our generation. And here are some facts about how the world is changing. In digitalization, IBM is often quoted as saying 90% of all data is created in the past 2 years. They probably said this over 10 years ago, but it's still true today. Over a million devices come online every hour, and digitalization is driving customer value. Around the world, data connectivity will lead to savings of over $1 billion a year in maintenance. In electrification, renewable energy is making electricity our largest energy carrier. And by 2040, 50% of all cars will be electric. Ferries, off-highway vehicles, and fleet vehicles have already started the transition to electric. In urbanization, cities account for 70% of the world's energy consumption and also 70% of our CO2 emissions. So the world population will reach 8.6 billion people in 2030. And by 2050, 70% of those people will be living in cities. In climate change, greenhouse gases have increased by over 50% since 1990. And energy efficiency has been identified as our single biggest lever in reducing greenhouse gas emissions. In food supply, we talked about 2030 population, and by 2030, it'll grow 11% from where it is today. So how are we going to feed all these people? According to the United Nations, a third of all food produced is lost or wasted. So in addition, that food wastage is responsible for 1/3 of all greenhouse gas emissions. So in each one of these global megatrends, Danfoss has solutions that can be applied around the world to address these challenges. But before challenging our customers or other people to join this clean energy transition, we lead by showing them how we can uphold these standards ourselves. So part of that, starting with ourselves and leading by example, is based on the original founding ideals of Danfoss. And these are things that we're continuing today. So as our CEO stated recently, climate change is no longer a question of technology. It's a question of mindset, will, smart thinking, and governance. And Danfoss has had a long history of leadership in climate action. In 2007, goals were established for CO2 reduction and renewable energy. In 2019, commitments were made to CO2 intensity, energy productivity, and energy intensity. So since 2007, we've improved energy productivity by 73% and improved energy intensity by 43%. So 13 years into our 23-year commitment, we've already met a majority of those commitments. So our CEO, he recognized these advancements. He said, this is great, but if we can achieve this in 13 years, then we can do better. So at the end of last year, Danfoss announced its pledge to 3 new goals to be monitored by the Climate Group. The Climate Group is an organization that's working to accelerate climate action amongst corporates globally. So rather than 50% reduction in CO2, we've pledged 100% carbon neutrality by 2030. We've also pledged to improve energy productivity by 100% and added a new commitment called EV100. That is to make every vehicle in Danfoss's fleet electric by 2030. And although we're well on our way to achieving sustainability targets for Danfoss, we also have a global customer network and a global responsibility to use what we know to multiply our impact in this network. So next I'll show you a video that talks about some of the ways that we're helping our customers build a clean energy future.
66% under the age of 25 feel uncertain about the future when it comes to sustainability.
I'm one of those young people, and we're worried for a good reason. For we are a generation raised in a time of talk. Talk about a crisis. Of irreversible changes. Of man-made consequences. They talk on social media and news. Talk about growing populations. About overcrowded megacities. Food loss and climate change. It seems like everyone around us is just talking. But enough talk. I'm going for something else. I'm going for engineering. Engineers put words into action. In fact, they've already started. Today we have ships running on electricity, smart factories predicting their own maintenance, and cooling technology that reduces food loss. Cities that let AI predict the need for heating and cooling. It's a smarter way of using our resources. Like in Benji, China, a city that was once covered in so much smog that it couldn't be seen on satellite photos. But today, Benji breathes freely thanks to district heating. This is more than talk. This is engineering a sustainable tomorrow. where electric cars can drive much further on a single charge. By the way, with surplus energy from the local supermarket. And at home, efficiency becomes common sense thanks to smart heating. Set the room temperature to 21 degrees. And then there's something essential to all of us: food. Farmers can now use satellites to guide tractors, so they can sow their fields with 1 centimeter accuracy. And through data and analytics, they can produce much more out of every harvest. But all these changes are just the beginning. Think of the potential if we take all our solutions and connect the dots. We could create CO2 neutral megacities with clean air, high quality of life, and energy efficiency in every single solution, where we simply get much more out of less. But this is not a talking point. For while we might be a worry generation, we're also a generation of action. This is where the transformation starts.
Join us so that together we are engineering tomorrow.
Okay, so you've heard a little bit about Danfoss, and we'll go back to the Mentee survey. I have another question for you. So where can you find Danfoss equipment in the world? And this is multiple choice. You can pick all that apply. Okay, pretty good response. So the right answer is all except for on Mars. As far as I know, we don't have any equipment on Mars. And we haven't given up on the Earth yet. So we spend our energy taking care of the only planet we know that can support human life. So with that, we'll transition into some details about our summer programs. In Boston, how this started is that back in May, we started hearing that many students have lost their internships to the coronavirus pandemic. And we tried to come up with some programs to connect with these students. And in the process, heard that there were many more students all over the world who had been affected the same way. So if you're one of these students, this program was made because of you. So the concept is this, that we would like to provide students who have lost their internships a chance to gain industry experience. And our business has been affected like many other businesses around the world. And we're not in a position to add paid internships. But we do have a lot of volunteers who can provide an option to work with a global sustainability technology leader and for you to gain some industry experience along the way. So with the uncertain health risks of coronavirus in many places, we want these activities to be remote and needing minimal special equipment. We also want to share more about Danfoss's mission, our vision for sustainability, and also the great engineering, technology, manufacturing, and expertise that we have in-house. So through this process, we hope to connect more meaningfully with universities and form relationships with you who may be looking for jobs down the road. So to clarify what our program is not, we're not offering any paid internships, fellowships, co-ops, contract research. We're not an accredited education institution. We're a company, and because of that, we're not run by professional educators. So this program is not a substitute for an internship, a college education, or regular human companionship, right? So what our program is it's free. There are no tuition fees to attend. It's going to be staffed by experienced Danfoss volunteers. And I would emphasize that these are all Danfoss employees who are volunteering for this program. They see the need in the community and they're stepping in to help. So we would also like learning from Danfoss and about Danfoss as an organization. The program is very flexible. We understand that people have summer plans, and hopefully some of your travel plans are still intact, but we will be enabling remote work and also participation through online resources like streaming of seminar videos. And we'll commit to you that we'll make our best effort to make this a rewarding experience for students. I would also mention that we have never done this before, so it's an experiment and a work in progress for us as well. So as far as the timeline, here today we've got the info session. We'll have another week of registration, and with that then we'll do the matching for the activities that we have and send out an email confirmation by the Friday of next week. And then the following week you'll connect with your Danfoss ambassador and coordinate the right timing for meetings and the path forward. And then this will be a 10-week program, and we'll end the program on August 21st. So what we're offering is 3 ways to engage, and we may add other options here as we progress through the summer. So I'll provide some examples of each one of these on the following slides, but here I'll give you a high-level description of what we have. So we'll offer project-based training. So these will be topical studies focused on a learning objective. And the classes will be led by 1 or more trainers. The format of the class will depend on the class size. So some classes will be traditional, some will be split into teams by subject focus, and others will be structured as competitions. We also have a seminar series, and we'll begin with 1 seminar a week. There are a lot of Danfoss experts who are eager to present these seminars, and we're currently recruiting those. So we will likely increase the frequency of these seminars and the number of topics that are offered in the near future. As a third option, we have one-on-one mentoring. So here we offer students an opportunity to meet with a seasoned Danfoss leader. The goal of the mentoring relationship can be decided between the mentor and the student, so it's very flexible. We also thought about other options like a hackathon, and may add these as we find out that there's interest over the summer. So keep in mind that the summer program is purely volunteer-based. You know, it's our first time doing this, but we think that we can fill a need here. One of the things that would be helpful to us is for you to help us understand what would be most valuable to you. So through this period, we'll be soliciting your input on how we can adjust and improve this program. So here's an example of a project-based training. So this would be a crash course in designing an autonomous off-highway vehicle. So an example here of a vehicle is shown in the image. In the green is a combine harvester, and in the yellow is a following grain cart. So as the combine harvests, the grain can be offloaded to the grain cart, which transports it back to storage. And by doing this, then the combine harvester can continue working, and there's increased productivity for that machine. So this operation of the grain cart is one of the many operations that can be automated. And so that might be one of the options as things that you would work through in this class. And the project will be tailored based on the interests of the class, but may include elements like, defining customer requirements. So more of the business inputs to the project. It will also might include elements of project management. So how would you organize a project to develop an off-highway vehicle? And then certainly the 3 technical elements of software, electrical system design and mechanical systems would be options there. So here are some other options for project-based trainings. We went through this first one here, but other trainings would include ones in marketing, augmented reality, and data science. So we're in the process of vetting other options, and these will be added to the list in our offerings as we progress. And these should be, if there are those of you who are interested in the project-based training, please let us know, and then we'll get an updated list of the projects out to you before registration ends. So we also have a seminar series planned. So as an example of one of the seminar series topics is the +1 platform. And the +1 platform is something that's offered by the Power Solutions segment. And here you see that these components are typically used in high power motive applications like off-highway vehicles. So these are some of the products that Danfoss produces. And we have components that are hydraulic, electric, we have controls, systems, and human machine interface. So in the interview, you'll get a sense of the components that are in the +1 platform, learn the theory of operation, and learn about some of the programming applications that we have to make all these components work together. And Danfoss sponsors a lot of different class projects and clubs and even classes and controls with Danfoss equipment. So if you'd like to use any of these components at your university, this training or this seminar would be a good place to start. Some of the other topics that we have for the seminar series that we've been thinking about. So we've split up these two categories into business and management and technology and applications. So it really runs the gamut as far as of things that we can present about. And this is one area that we would like some feedback from the audience to find out what would be of interest as we move forward. So as we go here, we'll continue to survey the student base and adjust accordingly for topics of interest. And then our third option now is in one-on-one mentoring. So here it's very open-ended, as I mentioned before, and we want to match the student's need with the experience of the Danfoss mentor. So all of the mentors in the program, they have experience in each of these areas. Some will be deeper in certain areas of technology. So if you let us, technology or business, so if you let us know what is of interest to you, we can help find the right Danfoss mentor internally. Okay, so to end with, we're going to end with MechE again, and this is a different survey. So you'll have to go to MechE.com and enter a new number, and that number is 972557. Give a few more, a little more time to get a few more responses here. All right, terrific. So thanks for your responses. This gives us a good idea. And to end with, we have one more question. So we'd like to know a little bit about you and what school you're coming from and also where you are today. Wow, it's quite a range. I see Bahrain has shown up. So glad to have an international audience here. Okay, terrific. Thanks for those inputs. So what next? So to mention the key milestones again. So on June 10th or before, we'd like you to register for the program. And here's a link. So it's tinyurl.com summer Danfoss. And that'll take you to a SurveyMonkey page where you can put in your preferences. So on June 11th or before, for those who are interested in the project-based training, and it seems like a lot of you are based on the survey, we will clarify what we have on offer and ask you for your preferences on which trainings are of interest to you. And then on Friday, then we will confirm the match of your preferences with the options that we have. I guess here I would mention that we have a limited resource as far as the project-based trainings, and so we may not be able to match every single preference. So if you're able to tell us some alternates, that would be helpful, and we'll do our best to get you your first preference. So with that, I would encourage you to register as soon as possible. And then the week of June 15th, your Danfoss ambassador will contact you to start the summer program. So with that, I'd like to open it up to Q&A.
So first of all, Mark, thank you very much. I send both the virtual and the physical clapping here. Participants, please type your questions in the Q&A. And I think the first question that's coming in here, Mark, is from Cole. Can you be involved with more than one of the opportunities?
Yes, absolutely. I think the one thing that we offer is the seminars, and this will be pretty much unlimited. So you can mix the seminar with anything, but for the mentors and also the project based training, we are constrained there. So we would like to give every student a chance to participate. So we'll try to get everybody a training that wants a training first, and then if we have additional capacity, we can sign you up for more than one.
Great. Even though we can't call this an internship, can we put this on our LinkedIn and resume?
Yeah, we would love that. So you don't get any credit for college credits for taking it, but yeah, that would be we would very much welcome that.
Let's see, there was a question here in the chat. Are there requirements for OPT or CPT, meaning visa related issues for international students?
Not that I know of. I would defer to either Stacy or Francis from our HR group.
Hi, yeah. Sorry, Francis.
No, you're fine.
I was just going to say there are no requirements or restrictions because this is purely voluntary, it's purely virtual, and it's purely remote. So there are no requirements or restrictions when it comes to visa status.
Very good. There was a question here on Mark your email address. If you want to either share that or what's the right way to get in contact with you and the team.
Okay, so you can connect with me on LinkedIn, but I think with regard to the summer activities that we have here, the best way is to register, and then we will come back to you before the end of next week.
There was a private chat here to me is, as an educator, is there a way to think about using some of the content that you're creating in future project-based classes, or how might that look?
Oh, absolutely. So we're looking for opportunities there. And one that comes to mind is our +1 platform. So we already have some universities that are using our hardware controllers along with our software in their classrooms to teach control theory. So the +1 platform is really quite powerful. So we can use it in the classroom for teaching, as well as for club or projects or research projects. And we have a program for sponsoring equipment for these university projects. So we'd love to connect with anybody that's interested in that as well.
So maybe related to that question, I'm taking this a little bit out of order. One of the attendees asked, I have a PhD thesis project that aligns really well with a Danfoss technology line. I think that it'll be really helpful to have someone from Danfoss to discuss the direction and results with. Is that something you envision as being a good fit for the program? And would this count as a mentorship?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for that one in particular, connect with me on LinkedIn and remind me with the message, and we'll do our best to find the right mentor for you internally.
Let's see, there's a question on hardware requirements. Or are we just fine with a laptop?
Fine with a laptop. We try to make it easy.
Let's see, do we get notification for the seminars?
Stacy or Francis? I think we will have
Yep.
Them posted, but I guess what's
Yep.
the current plan?
Yeah, I think the current plan, like Mark said, to register through that SurveyMonkey link. And from there, we'll be using that information, contact information you share to contact you about next steps and what that will look like, the communication moving forward.
We'll eventually have a seminar schedule. Sorry, Brian. We'll eventually have a seminar schedule that everybody that has shown interest in taking part in the seminars will be able to kind of read through and select the seminars that they want to attend whenever those are being held. And it also have the formats and whether it's a Zoom meeting or anything like that.
What is the time commitment expected that students should be putting in approximately for the project-based training, in addition to online instruction each week?
So here you'll get out of it what you put into it, right? We're not holding anybody's feet to the fire. It's purely voluntary on our side, and it should be purely elective on your side. So there are no requirements, but we hope that there's a good effort and the projects hold your interest, and also will provide you with some new learning about real industrial applications.
A question here on IP. If any IP is developed during these projects, can the students expect to own it or any portion of it?
We've made no accommodation for IP. So in this particular case, it would default back to the student.
Let's see. I think you answered this one. Are we given a certificate or a verification at the end of the 10-week program?
I mean, we don't have a formal. We're not an accredited educational institution, and what we can do is to recognize that your participation in the activity. And Stacy and Francis, I guess regarding a certificate. I know we can do acknowledgements on things like LinkedIn, but any thoughts about a certificate, virtual or real?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's something we've discussed as a group at this point, but that's certainly something we can talk about within our team beforehand, before the end. Yeah.
Here's an interesting, from somebody from a different background. Is technical background required to be in the program? Could a business student without a strong technical engineering background be a good fit?
Yeah, absolutely. So whether it's a project-based training or the seminar or the mentorship, we have a range of different topics and interests that we will cover. And so there would be potentially a fit there for business students as well.
Very good. Maybe two more questions here. Is there a requirement for admission to the program, interview or assessment to get admitted?
No, the program is open to everybody, and you know, at a minimum, you can participate in the seminar series, right? Then I see the last question: what would a possible hackathon look like? Here, we just had a training internally on how to run virtual hackathons, and we would probably call in some expertise from Danfoss to help us there. But we're confident that it can all be done virtually.
Okay, very good. So participants, thank you for all the wonderful questions. And Mark and Stacy, Francis, Peter, and Joshua, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for thinking of this absolute need in this interesting and unusual time that we're in. And I look forward to working with you to make sure that we further expose students to this opportunity and welcome your partnership in doing this and in future activities.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you to the MechE Alliance for this opportunity. We're really looking forward to the program getting started.
Very good. And then I think just as closing here, if Teresa, if you can bring up the sort of the exit slide. I think as everybody knows, or if you don't know, I'll let you now know, we have this seminar weekly at the same time, same channel. We will variously have faculty speakers, or we'll have industry partner speakers, or our student speakers. Next week, on June 10th, we'll hear from Ed Bernardin, who is an alum out of the department at MIT, speaking about some interesting applications of technology to World Rally Cup autonomous vehicle racing.